Chairman of the COP, Billian appointed co-chairman of a district development committee. Remains of a leopard with gunshot wounds discovered from Muskelia. Mysterious net falls from the sky.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. On to your lead story now. The 20th Amendment to the Constitution was presented to Parliament today. The draft was tabled in Parliament amid strong objection from the opposition. The second reading of the draft bill will be held tomorrow.
Minister of Justice, President's Counsel Ali Sabri tabled the draft 20th Amendment to the Constitution in Parliament amid strong objection from the opposition. The opposition wore black armbands to display their objection.
Lanka ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ජනරජයේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සංශෝධනය කිරීම සඳහා වූ 20 වන සංශෝධනයේ තුම්පත මම ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා.
දෙවෙනි වර කියවීම. හෙට දිනේ. දැන් ඔබතුමාලා ඉඳගත්තා නම් හොඳයි අගමැතිතුමක් මොනවද කියන්නේ කියලා අහගන්න.
Man, you are shouting.
මේ උත්තරීතර සභාවට උත්තරීතර නොවන 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය ගෙනල්ලා මේ රටේ යහපත් රාජපාලනය දෙසා
ඒක රීති ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි.
කරු කතානායකතුමනි මම කොහොමද කතා කරන්නේ?
ඔබතුමා කතා කරගෙන යන්න.
මේ රටේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් ජනතා පරමාධිපත්‍යය ජනතා ස්වෛරීත්වය ආරක්ෂා කිරීම සඳහා මේ ස්වාධීන කොමිෂන් සභාව රැකගන්න.
හරි ඒක විවාදයේදී ගන්න. ඒක මේ පනත විවාදයේදී ගන්න.
ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ අයිතිය රැකගන්න. මේක අසාධාරණයිනේ.
හරි ඔබතුමා දැන් එතුමාට රීති ප්‍රශ්නෙට අවස්ථාව දුන්නේ එතුමා ඉදිරිපත් කළේ නැහැ. ඔබතුමා යන්න.
ඇයි කැමරා එක දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ? ඇයි කැමරා එක දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ?
ඔබතුමාලට ඕනේ කැමරාවද? රීති ප්‍රශ්නයේද?
මේක හරි අසාධාරණයි.
දෙකෙන් කොයි එකද වැදගත්?
ඇයි කැමරාව දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ?
හරි.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ රජයේ යටතේ දේශීය ගොවිය ආරක්ෂා කිරීමත් පාරිභෝගික ජනතාව ආරක්ෂා කිරීමත් අද දින ඒකමතිකව සමත කිරීම සඳහා ඉවර කරන්න.
They violated the standing order and allowed Vijitha Herath to bring in a no-confidence motion when Karu Jayasuriya was the speaker. We are tabling this amendment today and I assure you that it will not be removed.
කිසිම අවස්ථාවක ඉවත් කරගන්නේ නැහැ කියන කාරණාවත් කියන්න ඕනේ.
තානායකතුමනි point of order. කැමරා එක.
ඔතන ගන්න. ඒ පත්‍ර දාන්නේ කොහමද?
මේක හරි වැඩක් නේ.
ඒ පත්‍ර විතරක් දෙන්නේ කොහමද?
මේ විශ්ව ගෙනල්ලා දැන්ම.
ඒ පත්‍ර දෙනවා මේ පත්‍ර දෙනවා කැමරා එක. ඕටේ මාලේකම්. ඕටේ මාලේකම්.
කැමරාව දාන්න. කරුණා කරලා කැමරාව දාන්න.
අර ජොන්ස්ටන් ස්පීකර්ට කියන්නේ මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ජොන්ස්ටන් ස්පීකර්.
ජනතා පරමාධිපත්‍යයට මෙහෙම පයින් ගන්නවා නම්
කරුණා කරලා ඔබතුමාලා ඉඳගන්න.
රටේ මොකද ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ?
ඉඳගන්න.
මේ අයිතිය
ඒතකොට කොහොමද දාන්නේ?
This is the people's right. They have the right to know the truth. Give us the chance to speak about the truth in Parliament.
එන්ටුවේ තියෙන අයිතිය පිළිබඳව කතා කරන්න අවස්ථාව දෙන්න. ඒක මගේ අයිතිය. මට ඒ අයිතිය දෙන්න. ශේහන්ට දුන්නේ.
That is my right. Give me that right. You allowed Shehan. Prime Minister, this protest we are staging is to give a voice for your rights.
මැතිවරයාගේ අයිතිවාසිකම් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව උත්තරීත පරමාධිපත්‍ය වෙනුවෙන් අගමැතිතුමනි.
You may have watched the Subha Saha Yasa drama. King Subha handed over his powers to the doorman by placing a huge trust on him. But what happened in the end? You have to safeguard your right for the people of this country.
රජතුමාටම හැබැයි ඔබතුමාගේ අයිතිය ඔබතුමා ආරක්ෂා කරන්න මේ රට වෙනුවෙන්
අපිට බලහත්කාරයෙන් මේ පනත සම්මත කරගන්න ඕනේ නෑ. ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ තීන්දුව දුන්නත් අපිට මේක ගෙන්න බෑ.
මම මහින්දානන්ද අලුත්ගමගේ මැතිතුමාගෙන් අහනවා අගමැති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාගේ බලය නැති කරලා තුමා කැමතිද? අපි නම් කැමති නෑ.
කාගේ බලය ඉවත්?
No matter whose powers are curtailed, the powers of Mahinda Rajapaksa will not be affected. You cannot do that. Honorable Prime Minister, today they made a request to adjourn the proceedings for 5 minutes. What is this? If there are changes to be made and if there are provisions that are detrimental to the country, let's consider all of it.
පුළුවන් දෙනවනම් රටට හිතට දෙන අපි බලමු. ඔබතුමාලා කියන යකෙක් මේකෙන් නෑ.
අනේ පුළුවන් නම් පළමුවෙන්ම පොල් ගෙඩිය මිල අඩු කරන්නකෝ. ඔච්චර මිනිසුන්ට ආදරේ නෑ.
අද පොල් ගෙඩිය මිල කීයද කියන්නේ?
How much is a coconut? 17 have already expressed their willingness to join this side. There was one who was highlighted carrying a board and wearing a band, wasn't there? He is the one who wanted the best ministerial position. I do not want to mention names.
වෙලාවේ අපිත් එක්ක කතා කරන අය නම් වශයෙන් හඳුන්වන
අම්මලා තාත්තලා
There is no one in the Samaki Jala Balawege that disrespects parents. There is no one in the SAB that sells their soul for money and position. You also opposed the executive presidency by leaving the UNP. You fought for its abolishment.
ඔබතුමත් සටන් කරා නේද විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය අහෝසි කරන්න.
මේ විශ්ව විවාද කරන්නේ අද නෙමෙයි. තව සතියක් ඉස්සරහ.
තමන්නේ තමුන්නාන්සේ
That is okay if you grant freedom for the ruling party MPs whom you represent to speak about various issues in the House. We also have that right. Please read the Constitution. I ask the Secretary General of Parliament to present the Speaker with a copy of the Constitution.
ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ පිටපතක් දැන් පෙන්වන්න. පිටපතක් පෙන්වන්න. ගරු කතානායකතුමාට.
ඒක ආරක්ෂා කරන්න අපි සියලු දෙනාම බැඳිලා ඉන්නේ.
මේ දෙපැත්තින් හැමෝටම එක හා සමානව සලකන්න.
අංක 91 ඒ වගන්තිය මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් විසින් පාර්ලිමේන්තු ඉදිරියේ ඇති විෂය කරුණට අදාළ වංශ කතා කරනු ලැබිය හැක්කේ. සම්පෙතුමා කතා කරන්න වෙන්නේ ඒවා.
මම මගේ උගත් මිත්‍රයාට ගරු කරනවා.
I respect my educated friend, but I am deeply saddened for his current state. If you had taken the right decisions in the past, you would not have to sit in the 5th or the 6th row on that side. You could have had a front row seat on this side. Therefore, I ask my educated friend to educate yourself more and to make your political decisions wisely in the future.
මීට වැඩිය පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩිපුර හිතලා බලලා තීන්දුව తీන්න ගන්නයි කියලා. පුත් අපි 18 ගේන්න කලින්
Before we presented the 19th to the parliament, we had 6 rounds of discussions with the opposition. We came to an agreement. Because you voted in favour of it, we were able to bring in the 19th. We saw on print media that Prime Minister has appointed a committee, but no amendment was done by having a discussion with us. This amendment abolishes the parliamentary authority.
විධායක ජනාධිපති
The main architects of the executive presidency are Lalith Hathulat Mudali and Gamini Disanayake. During their last few days, they regretted their decision. You were part of that same camp. You opposed the executive presidency. I cannot believe the stance that you hold now. We know that you are pressurized.
වෙච්ච ඔබතුමා අද මේ හැසිරෙන විදිය කොහමද කියලා ඉවරලා මට හරි පුදුමයි. ඔබතුමා පීඩනයකට ඉන්නවා කියලා අපි දන්නවා.
ඒ දෙන්නම එහෙම හිතලා මැරුණේ නැහැ. හිටපු ගමන් මැරලා දැම්මේ.
නෑ මම කිව්වේ එතුමන්ලා
You were with them when they opposed the executive presidency during the twilight of their life.
ඔබතුමා ඒ කඳවුරේ සමාජිකයෙක්.
The 20th Amendment was met with heavy resistance by the members of the opposition when it was tabled in Parliament earlier today.
මයික් එක දෙන්නේ
අගමැතිතුමා අපිත් එක්ක ඉන්නේ. අගමැතිතුමා පොඩ කතා කරන්න අවස්ථාවක් දෙන්න. Attorney-at-law Indika Galage filed a petition at the Supreme Court today challenging the draft 20th Amendment to the Constitution. The petition states certain amendments included in the draft violate the Constitution of the country, adding if the amendments are passed, it threatens the mandate of the people. The petition filed through Attorney-at-law Darshana Veraduwa requests the Supreme Court to issue a determination stating the draft should be passed with a 2/3 majority in Parliament as well as a referendum.
Parliamentarian ALM Ataullah was compelled to leave the Parliament chamber this morning after the opposition raised objections against the attire worn by the MP. However, he re-entered the parliamentary complex on a special permission granted by the Speaker.
This was the manner in which MP ALM Ataullah entered parliamentary premises today.
අර ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්න මන්ත්‍රීතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඔබතුමා ශ්‍රී ලංකා පාර්ලිමේන්තු කතානායක.
Honorable Speaker, please look at the way he is dressed. He has dressed as if he is entering the parliament in Afghanistan or Pakistan. Then we should also remove our clothes. Therefore, you need to act with a backbone without being biased here.
තියාගෙන වැඩ කරන්න. ඔබතුමා
You are clearly aware of parliamentary tradition. Is this what you call one country, one law?
අපි ෂර්ට් එක ගලවනවා. අපි ෂර්ට් එක ගලවනවා. ඔබතුමා කරුණා කරලා එළියට දාන්න. මන්ත්‍රීවරයා නම් කරන්න. තීන්දුවක් ගන්න.
යනවා හූ
The Parliament of Sri Lanka has prescribed a dress code for all members of Parliament. This problem arose because this MP was wearing an attire that does not fall under the prescribed attire. But I received information that the Speaker has permitted this MP to enter Parliament today due to his health condition.
Parliamentarian Professor Charitha Herath has been appointed as the chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, also known as COPE. This appointment was made this evening at the inaugural meeting of the COPE. Professor Charitha Herath's name was proposed by Minister Mahindanandaluth Gamage and was seconded by State Minister Jayantha Samaravira.
There are many institutions which have presented audit reports to COPE in 2018-2019. We expect to discuss the issues embedded in these completed reports as COPE. We also hope to engage in in-depth discussions if there are any discrepancies with regards to state funds between 2017 and 2019. The members of COPE held a discussion today. Following the meetings scheduled for the 7th and 8th of October, we will be able to announce our decision regarding that. There is an issue with regards to conflict of interest here. He is a parliamentarian representing the ruling party. Even he might be pressurized by institutions that represent the government at times. I do not know as to which direction this power will deviate with the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. We decided that he is the right man for it because he is a secretary to a ministry and a professor. Also, he is a parliamentarian. Therefore, he can engage in this full time. He is also appointed to this position with a clean slate.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa made the following remarks at the 75th anniversary of United Nations via a video message.
Unfortunately, the world is not what the founders of this august body envisaged 75 years ago. The world is plagued by the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. Sri Lanka was able to successfully face the challenge of COVID-19 through a proactive intervention. We established the National Action Committee for preventing COVID-19 even before the first patient was detected in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has committed to the 2030 agenda of sustainable development. Poverty alleviation through an agri-based production economy is a major goal of my government. As we celebrate 65 years of UN membership this year, Sri Lanka is pleased to have contributed significantly to United Nations agenda, ranging from peacekeeping operations to programs of its specialized agencies. At a time when the world is facing a common and unrevealed threat, the United Nations we need, I'm certain, will place due emphasis on the sovereign equality of states, respect of territorial integrity, and non-interference in their domestic affairs. Excellencies, I firmly believe Sri Lanka is hopeful that we of the United Nations would rededicate ourselves in efforts to strengthen this great institution to ensure the future we want.
Sivanesathurey Chandrakanthan alias Pillayan was appointed the co-chairman of the District Development Committee of Batticaloa. The president had made this appointment to be effective from the 9th of this month. According to the secretary of the TMVP, Poobala Pillai Prashanthan, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa had presented the letter of appointment to Sivanesathurey Chandrakanthan at the parliamentary complex earlier today.
Meanwhile, 12 Chinese nationals have been arrested while engaging in unlicensed gambling at an apartment complex in Kolpiti last night.
Police said 3 women were among the arrested. The police had seized 6.5 million rupees from the possession of the suspects. In addition, equipment used for casinos were also seized during the raid.
Chief suspect responsible for causing destruction to the Anavilundava wetlands, former chairman of Arachikattua Pradesh Sabha Jagat Samanta, was remanded by the Chilla magistrate until the 24th of September after he surrendered to court. He is also the brother of State Minister Sanat Nishanta Pereira. Yesterday, court issued a warrant for the arrest of Jagat Samanta. The Presidential Commission probing last year's April 21st attacks said it would issue an order tomorrow on a statement issued by former President Maithripala Sirisena recently. This was after the filing of submissions concluded during today's sitting.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena had issued a statement refuting accusations made against him by former Defence Secretary Hemsiri Fernando at the Commission last week. Attorney-at-Law Dilshan Jayasuriya, appearing for the witness, argued that the statement had undermined the authority of the Commission and has instilled fear in his client. Accordingly, he requested the Commission to take legal action against the former President and his private secretary, under whose signatory the statement had been issued. However, President's Counsel Maitri Gunaratne, appearing for the former President today, argued that his client has the right to freedom of speech. He pointed out that the former President had issued the statement to reveal the truth to the country and not to degrade the Commission or intimidate the witness. The Council added that the Archbishop of Colombo, Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith, had also issued a statement recently refuting certain remarks made by former Minister Harin Fernando at the Commission. However, Additional Solicitor General Ayesha Jinasena, appearing for the Attorney General's Department that is leading the evidence, argued that the statement has been issued in violation of 2 acts. She insisted that the statement had been issued in violation of the Assistance to and Protection of Victims of Crime and Witnesses Act and also the Commissions of Inquiry Act. The Additional Solicitor General argued that issuing a statement refuting evidence given before the investigators can instill fear in the witness and is a disrespect to the Commission. She also pointed out that it is unacceptable to issue a statement when the Commission has allowed lawyers to cross-examine the witness. President's Counsel Maitri Gunaratne said his client would be willing to remove the statement that had been published on the Facebook page of the former President if it has offended the Commission. Meanwhile, retired Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara testified before the Commission earlier today. In a testimony, he said that former State Intelligence Service Director Nilantha Jayawardena had shown a tendency to work individually than collectively. The police chief told investigators that Jayawardena had served as a personal assistant during his stint as the senior DIG of the Northern Province. Former Defence Secretary Kapila Vaidyaratne also provided evidence before the Commission earlier today. The witness insisted that the State Intelligence Service had not submitted weekly intelligence reports to him during his term in office. Former SIS Director Nilantha Jayawardena had earlier told the Commission that he had submitted 40 intelligence reports to the witness during his stint as the Defence Secretary. However, the former Defence Secretary said that the police unit of the Commission had produced 18 reports to him and that he could only identify 3 reports that he had signed and forwarded to the Chief of National Intelligence for relevant action.
Meanwhile, Colombo Archbishop Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith expressed his views on the Presidential Commission probing the April 21st attacks.
අපි සතුරු වෙනවා පාස්කු කොමිසම ගෙන යන වැඩ පිළිවෙල ගැන සන්තෝෂයි. ඒක
සාධාරණයක් ඉෂ්ට වෙයි කියලා ඔබ වහන්සේට
අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
කතෝලික ජනතාවට
මම විශ්වාස කරනවා මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ අවංකවම මේ කාරණාව හොයලා බලමින් කටයුතු කරනවා කියලා පේනවා.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා හිටපු ආවාද කොමිසමට. ඉතින් මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහතා.
ඒව මම දන්නේ නැහනේ. අපිට කිව්වේ නැහැ තාම ඒ කියන්නේ.
වහන්සේලා ඉදිරියට ප්‍රකාශයක් කරනවාද මේ කොමිසම සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
නෑ මම මේ කොමිසමේ වාර්තාව එනකන් අපි බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. වාර්තාවට පස්සේ තමයි අපි කියන දෙයක් කියන්නේ.
A conundrum has arisen regarding the timeline of the events which transpired prior to the five-story house collapsing in Buvalikada, Kandy. The walls of the house had cracked at around 3 the previous day. They had then vacated the house without notifying the neighbors. In the morning, they had lodged a complaint with the police to save themselves. My request is for them to be imprisoned so as to avoid such tragedies in the future. Even if they had thrown a stone at our house, we could have evacuated.
The residents of the house on which the five-story building collapsed claimed that it collapsed at around 5 a.m.
It happened at around 5 a.m. Only when we called 119 did the authorities arrive.
The distance between the site of the collapse and the Kandy police is 3 kilometers.
The police officers who were on night duty traveled to the site by 5:10 a.m. We went to sleep at around 1:30 a.m. At around 4:30 a.m. we heard a loud thud. The neighbors were pointing torches at our house. Then our neighbor said our walls were cracking. I informed the police by 5 a.m. I only remembered the mobile number of the Kandy police. Once the call was ongoing, the house collapsed. There was a time frame of nearly 7 minutes between the events.
It did not happen at around 4:30 in the morning. It happened at around 4:50. Who remembers to check the time?
Anuralevke's son has forwarded a report of the call log to Newsfirst. However, Newsfirst cannot confirm its accuracy. According to the call log, the first outgoing call had been made to his mother at 4:52 a.m. Subsequently, the son had dialed the Kandy police at 5 a.m. The son revealed that the police was dialed when they were driving away in their vehicle. Based on these details, Anuralevke, other family members and his son, who were on the 3rd and 5th floors respectively, should have left the house after being notified by their neighbor within a time frame of 8 minutes. However, the police claim none of the Levke family members had notified the police at the time. The police further revealed that the family had exited the house at around 3:30 a.m. or 4 a.m. prior to the house collapsing.
We constructed this house in 2006. All required approval was obtained prior to construction.
In contrast, the Urban Development Authority has revealed although the owners had obtained approval to construct each floor of the house periodically, approval had only been obtained to construct 4 floors. The UDA claims constructing a 5th floor to the house was an illegal act.
This was a 2-storied house before. Later it was converted into a 5-storied house. Their intention was to convert it into a hotel.
The police claim the owner of the house could be prosecuted on criminal charges if investigations reveal that the building has been constructed disregarding proper standards. The National Building Research Organization reveals the reason for the collapse of the house was due to it being constructed on a loose layer of soil. It has also been established that this is an area where a valley begins.
This is my hometown. I have been here all my life. I remember what this used to look like. This was where all the trees which were cut were piled. It is not suitable. It is not a suitable area to construct a house.
Although Newsfirst attempted to reach out to the members of the Levke family, they refrained from expressing their views, claiming that legal advice had been provided to remain silent. The mortal remains of the deceased father, mother and infant who lost their lives following the collapse were brought to the hotel they were lodging last night. Chamila Prasad, who lost his life, was a businessman by profession, while his spouse, Achala Ekanayaka, was an attorney at law and was also a visiting lecturer at the Open University. The couple, which married last November, had welcomed baby Onella in August this year.
Today, we met people whose lives have been affected by natural disasters as well as neglect of relevant authorities. This is their voice.
50 families settled in the village of Peradobogola in Galigamur in the year 2000. This village has not had clean drinking water since then. They drink rainwater and walk for 20 kilometers to bathe. It is the temple in the village that assists the residents during hard times. This temple is an ancient temple belonging to the Valagamba dynasty. However, the temple also has no water. There are around 415 families in Mandane, Tirukkovil in Ampara who have been battered by the tsunami and the 30-year-long war. Although the government has promised to build houses at these resettlements, the houses that have been built thus far are only partially completed. These people also do not have basic facilities like sanitation and water. While they are battered by these issues during the day, elephants encroach into the villages during the night. Although a number of foundation stones to build the Valitanna road in Mahavattegama Badulda have been laid, the road is still in a dilapidated state. More than 1,000 people use this road on a daily basis as this is the closest route to Harliala. Those who cannot use this road have to travel 12 kilometers to reach Harliala. This is where the railroad falls and there have been around 20 motorcycle accidents due to collisions.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has decided to go among the people to provide swift solutions to their grievances at the village level. The president hopes to witness firsthand the difficulties suffered by fellow citizens and to lend an ear to them in order to relieve them of their burdens with an accurate understanding. The Haldumulle Divisional Secretariat Division of the Badula district has been selected for the first inspection tour. The public gathering will be held at the Kumaratanna Vidyalaya 100-acre village, Haputale, on next Friday, the 25th of September, beginning at 10 a.m. The remains of a leopardess with a gunshot wound on its head was discovered from the Brownlow estate in Muskelia. According to the Department of Wildlife, the carcass was discovered by officials of the Nallatanya Wildlife Office based on information provided by estate workers.
An official of the Wildlife Department confirmed that a gunshot wound was detected on the leopardess's head. A special operation has been launched to locate and arrest the suspect responsible for killing the animal. The carcass has been transported to the veterinary office of Randenigala. An officer of the Department of Wildlife confirmed that nearly 20 leopards have been killed so far this year.
We reported last Sunday that a large net had fallen on the Chilau crematorium site during a heavy downpour. Today, we have received footage of this incident.
Our correspondent said the net was about 250 feet long and weighed about 300 kilograms. Meanwhile, our correspondent stated that fishermen have found another black net in the deep sea near Chilau. Chilau fishermen say that these nets are not used by local fishermen. Sri Lankan fishermen are not using these types of nets. We use nets made according to the Karapalava technique. Though they say foreign ships are not coming to our area, how do we find these nets here in our waters? There is no way for these nets to float from far away. Our ancestors used to make their fishing nets by hand, but today these nets are made through machines. In Sri Lanka, we can't even think of such technology. Look at the strength of these nets. The fishermen say that these nets reveal that the foreign vessels are poaching. We believe that foreign fishing vessels are harvesting on our fishing resources. We are asking the Navy to look into this because we don't manufacture or use such nets in Sri Lanka. There is an ongoing business where the foreign vessels are coming to our waters and harvesting on our fishing resources. Recently, when we went to check the Dikkota fisheries harbour, we didn't get permission to enter the premises. There is a chance that the authorities are already aware of this robbery done by foreign fishing vessels. We think that this incident has some connection to these foreign vessels. We are requesting the authorities and the Ministry of Fisheries to look into this. We have two ministers now to the fisheries industry. We do not know how to tell. It's all complicated now. Ocean and harbours are in the subject areas of one minister and the fishermen and the fishing boats are under another minister. Whoever is it, we request both ministers to look into it, and we are requesting the Navy to investigate into this matter. Also, the Nara Institute should study this net.
A group protested that Venerable Ampitiye Sumanaratana Thero, the chief incumbent of Mangalaram in Batiklo, be arrested. The protest was held in Pankudavali area.
Venerable Ampitiye Sumanaratana Thero reprimanded the archaeological officers at a site in Batiklo, stating that the demarcation and the excavation at the site have been delayed. This incident happened last morning. A group of officers attached to the Surveys Department and officials of the Chenkaladi Divisional Secretariat arrived at the location that is said to be of archaeological importance. A decision has been reached to commence the surveying next week. A group led by politicians and area residents started protesting at the location. The protesters demanded that the law should be enacted on the Thera for hampering the duties of government officials. The Venerable Thera expressed views regarding this. I went there to check because they were destroying this place using dozers. There is a special presidential task force appointed to protect archaeological sites in the eastern province, but they can't even put a watcher to these sites. In the Manikamadu ancient temple, 2 court cases have been filed against the construction of a Dharma Sabha in the temple. The law is applied when we are trying to construct religious places of worship, but no action is taken against the farmers who are digging these sites. However, I will face this problem. I am asking the President, the Prime Minister Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Secretary of Defence, instead of putting me behind bars, conduct a proper investigation about this matter. A complaint has been lodged with the Kardianaru police regarding an obstruction by a group including a monk to the archaeological officers on duty at the archaeological site. The Kardianaru police have commenced investigations into this incident. The investigations have been initiated based on a complaint received that 3 officers of the archaeological office had been obstructed while visiting the site. Kardinaru police have reported facts to court and they have given judicial medical forms to the assaulted government officers to get medical reports. The Batiklo Magistrates Court has issued a notice to the monk to appear before the court on the 30th of September 2020 to provide a statement regarding the obstruction of duty.
An international video conference was held celebrating the theme 50 years of Vietnam-Sri Lanka relations achievements and prospects at the Lakshman Kaduragami Institute of International Relations and Strategic Studies. The event took place with the participation of many dignitaries, including the chairman of the Pathfinder Foundation, former Ambassador Bernard Gunathilaka.
High-level political exchanges took place when President Mahinda Rajapaksa undertook a state visit to Vietnam in 2009. Both countries need to explore ways and means of expanding their economic relations. Tourists from Vietnam to Sri Lanka stood at 3,180 by 2019. If Sri Lanka is looking for a development partner or a model, Vietnam could provide that inspiration for Sri Lanka.
I regard that the endorsement of the Hanoi Plan of Action 2 for 2020 to 2025 under the umbrella of ASEAN's regional forum will also facilitate the relationship between the 2 countries, and Sri Lanka stands firm to support Vietnam in this regard. It is time that we try to understand how best we can link these new opportunities with the economic needs for the upliftment of lives of the people of our 2 countries.
And that's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. For the news, Fastima Mazra Hassan with our sign language interpreter Brian D. Cruz. Take care and good night.